Picture this for a second. A totally fractured, warring group of nomads living in one of the most freezing, unforgiving climates on Earth, basically just fighting amongst themselves. Now imagine those exact same people rising up on horseback to conquer half the known world. Could a small nomadic tribe really pull something like that off?
Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely pumped to dive into this one with you guys. Today, we're unpacking the sweeping, epic scale of the Mongol Empire. Because if any group in human history completely reshaped the map from the backs of horses, it was for sure the Mongols.
To give us a clear roadmap for this explainer, here's what we're going to cover. We'll trace their journey from their nomadic origins and the staggering rise of Genghis Khan to the actual mechanics of the Mongol war machine. Then we'll see how they built the largest empire, examine how the empire collapses, and wrap up with a look at modern Mongolia. All right, let's jump right in.
Section 1. The Nomadic Origins, a Life of Constant War. So, to really understand their epic rise, we've got to set the scene. Centuries ago, in that fast, cold, and incredibly unforgiving stretch between modern-day Mongolia and China, there wasn't some grand empire. There wasn't even a single king. Instead, there were just divided tribes. They lived a really harsh life of hunting, horseback riding, and literally constant, unending war. They were true nomads, constantly on the move, and locked in these never-ending battles with each other just to survive.
Section 2. Rise of Genghis Khan, Uniting the Tribes.
Now this is where everything flips. Back in the 12th century, a kid named Temujin is born, and his early life was the absolute definition of hardship. His father was actually poisoned, and his family was plunged into severe poverty. But Temujin had this unbelievable sheer force of will. He just refused to give up. Step by step, he claws his way out of that extreme poverty and gradually unites those fractured Mongol tribes we just talked about. And by 1206, he pulls off the impossible. He unites all the tribes and is officially recognized as Genghis Khan.
Section 3. The Mongol War Machine, an Unstoppable Force.
Now, what's really interesting here is how they actually built this unstoppable military. Genghis Khan didn't just throw men at a problem. He built a terrifyingly efficient machine. His soldiers traveled on incredibly fast horses. We're talking about an army capable of fighting relentlessly, day and night, entirely skipping the traditional rest periods that other armies desperately needed. Plus, they utilized highly surprising, unconventional war tactics. Honestly, their speed and efficiency were so terrifying that some enemy cities would literally just surrender the second they heard the Mongols were approaching.
With this unstoppable force, they began a relentless, step-by-step geographic progression. First step, the Mongol army sweeps into many areas of China. Step 2, they push into Central Asia. Step 3, down into Iran and Afghanistan. And Step 4, driving straight up into Russia. Wherever they attacked, the enemy absolutely trembled. It was a wave of conquest unlike anything the world had ever seen.
Eventually, the Mongols advanced into Muslim territories. And that brings us to a highly significant year, 1258. I want to slow down here for a second, because this is when the Mongol forces reached Baghdad, which at the time was the vibrant intellectual and cultural center of the Islamic world. The outcome of this siege was the total destruction of Baghdad. Millions of people were killed, and countless books from the city's grand libraries were thrown directly into the Tigris River. The events of 1258 are widely considered to be one of the greatest tragedies in Islamic history.
Section 4. The Largest Empire, Unprecedented Scale.
After Genghis Khan passed, the expansion definitely didn't stop. His sons and grandsons took the foundation he built and expanded it into the largest land empire in world history. But the crucial shift is how they went from conquerors to administrators. Consider the Yuan dynasty. It was established in China by Kublai Khan, Genghis Khan's grandson, after his complete conquest of the region. That is a massive pivot. They went from living as nomadic warriors on the freezing steppes to serving as established rulers over a massive, settled population in China. The empire now stretched across China, Russia, Central Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Europe.
To give you a sense of what this looked like at its gilded peak, check out this incredible observation from the famous traveler Marco Polo, who journeyed through the Mongol Empire during this exact era. He wrote simply but powerfully, quote, "The Mongol Empire was extremely rich and powerful." Just think about that for a second. They had cornered global trade, accumulated vast, unimaginable wealth, and reached the absolute zenith of their global dominance. But maintaining that kind of peak forever is practically impossible. Which brings us to Section 5. The empire collapses internal fractures.
Managing an empire stretching from China all the way to parts of Europe and the Middle East was just an impossible task over the long term. Think about the stark difference here. In the early empire, you had united tribes under a single, incredibly powerful ruler in Genghis Khan. But in the late empire, that unity was totally gone. Over time, the Mongol rulers simply started fighting among themselves.
And here are the specific internal fractures that brought the giant down. Because the Mongol rulers began fighting each other, the vast empire was divided into different fractured parts, and with that division came critical weakness. Major uprisings erupted in China to overthrow their rule. Meanwhile, Russia began the process of becoming independent. Gradually, piece by piece, the great Mongol power weakened, and ultimately, this massive, world-spanning empire completely collapsed.
Section 6. Modern Mongolia, an enduring legacy.
Let's bring this all the way back to the present day. Today, the geographic footprint is much different. Mongolia is an independent country, but man, its cultural identity remains incredibly strong. The horse culture is still deeply embedded in daily life. The Mongolian people are fiercely proud of their traditions, their unique music, and yes, that historic warrior past. It's such a fascinating contrast, isn't it? A small modern nation today that holds the history of warriors who once conquered half the globe.
So, what should we really take away from this explainer? The history of the Mongols isn't just about battles and borders. The core lesson here is that unity, courage, and sheer leadership have the power to empower even a small, fractured tribe to completely change the world. It's a profound testament to how vision and discipline can alter the course of human history.
I really hope you found this explainer as fascinating as I did. Now, I've got to ask you, which historical empire should we cover next? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed diving into this massive piece of history today, please hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep